Once upon a time you dressed so fine, threw the bumps of dime in your prime. Then you, people call, say beware doll, you're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home? Like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Oh, you've gone to the finest school, all right, Miss Lonely, but you know you only used to get juiced in it. Nobody's ever taught you how to live out on the street, and now you're gonna have to get used to it. You say you never compromise with a mystery tramp, but now you realize he's not selling any alibis as you stare into the vacuum of his eyes and say, do you want to make a deal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone.
So we're back, and shout out to, I think it was Lido that recommended that. That was for the 60s, because I didn't do it last week. Did a little Bob Dylan. I'd never heard of that song before I played it, but that's what I was recommended, and I'm a man of the people. Sometimes I give the people what they want. But we're going to be doing a little Q&A. Didn't have anything I really thought about that I wanted to do for a live stream today, so we thought we'd do just a casual, chill one. But yeah, also, hi, Tommy, how are you? Hopefully your day gets better. Hi, Dakota. Hi, Jurgen. How are you guys? If you have any topics you want to talk about, if you want to try, just whatever you want to talk about. Sometimes you try to piss the people off. Sometimes. When I like to troll you guys, I do. Sometimes I do like to troll a little bit. But yeah, also, just kind of tell you guys what's going on this week. I do have, coming out for this week specifically, we have a Summer Haul video coming out Wednesday, which I'm very excited for, because I think I've talked about Summer Haul on the channel like a little bit, but it's never been like fully like what I think happened at Summer Haul and all the different like pieces there that can make it to where it was viewed as an accident, but it actually wasn't type idea. So that video is coming out Wednesday. I really enjoyed making that one. I put a little bit of extra editing into that. I've been trying to get better at editing, and so I did that a little bit on the videos this week. So that's on Wednesday. I think the video on Friday, it's either Friday or Sunday, I can't remember. I think it's Friday though. I'll be doing a video talking about Ned Stark and Jaime during Robert's rebellion, talking about if Ned would have actually believed Jaime if Jaime told him the whole story. So that should be a fun one. And then on, I think on Sunday, the Sunday video is a Barristan Winds of Winter, like classic predictions type of video, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, excited for all about that. And massive shout out to I guess last week was a really good week on the channel. I knew the video with a feast and dance in it, talking about Winds of Winter was gonna do well, but even the other videos did pretty well for usually on this channel. You guys were some of you had some very strong opinions about Catelyn. I very much have kind of become a Catelyn defender in terms of, like I talked about in the video, I personally think she's overhated. But yeah, Connor comes in with the question, which is your favorite A Song of Ice and Fire era of history? War of the Five Kings, Regency of Aegon III, The Dance of the Dragons, The Conquest of any other. Personally, for me, it's the War of the Five Kings. The normal story is just the most interesting because we are with all these different characters. We have this POVs of all these different areas, and I think it's just generally my favorite. I enjoy A Clash of Kings for the most part because it is during the War of the Five Kings, whereas A Storm of Swords is like the final conclusion to the War of the Five Kings and the after effects. Book 2 is really the War of the Five Kings book, and so that's kind of why it's my favorite. I do really like the eras of Maegor and Aenys, so I like that reign, or those reigns, I should say. I like that era of Targaryen history. I do like the dance, and then I'd probably go maybe the first Blackfire Rebellion, something like that. I think those are kind of my favorites. I know a lot of people love Robert's Rebellion. I think it's a good one as well. I just don't think that it's as interesting as some other events. Hi JC, how are you? Grease, have you checked out the animated series If Game of Thrones Was Realistic? I just came across it and died laughing. I have not. I will say I don't tend to watch a lot of content from other creators. I think it's just because I spend so much time in this world already as it is, in terms of the amount of videos I put out a week and talking about it, that it's just, unless it's something that I think is like crazy that I haven't heard anybody talk about, or it's a certain couple people that I like listen to, I don't really like watch other people's content or any of that stuff. But I maybe I'll have to look into it. Hi Ket. That's what I'm gonna name. That's what I'm gonna say your name is. I can see this. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hi April, how are you? Next, Warden of the West. That's an interesting one. So let's say the end game of the series, who's going to become the next Warden of the West? It's got to be somebody you would think in the Westerlands. Maybe it could be somebody in the Reach. That's an interesting question, because you got to think a lot of the main Lannisters are going to be gone. So if House Lannister survives, which it probably will through at least Tyrion, you could say Tyrion maybe becomes Warden of the West. I could see that happening. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Like, there's not a huge candidate that comes to mind, because I think a lot of the main Lannisters are going to die. Like, even the Lannisters we run into with like Jaime, for instance, in A Feast for Crows, I think likely they're going to die. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. I think as of right now, I'd probably go somebody like Tyrion. I can see you. Thank you for the compliments on the desk. I appreciate it. This is actually my old desk, which is kind of interesting because this desk looks just better, like visually, than my actual desk. I haven't actually used this desk. Before this setup, I hadn't used this desk for like any type of streaming or anything for a long time. So it kind of got brought back into commission, because personally, I just like editing at that desk, because that desk I can adjust. Like if I'm having a day where like my back's not feeling great, I can like make that go up to like a standing desk, and it's just easier for me. Like I kind of used to do on videos. I remember this just from the rereading series on a Game of Thrones that I re-uploaded. Like, it's very weird when you go from like episode 1 to like episode 40 to like the very end, and it's like you just go through phases, where there was like one phase for like maybe a month or two where I was straight up just doing the stand-up desk, which, you know, I had to at the time. So I do like that desk, but this desk looks nicer just from visually, like the wood and stuff. Quinn the GM noticed that the comments in his videos have gotten more and more negative with regards to wins. I understand the impatience, but have you also gotten more negativity on your comments? Not really. I mean, I think maybe Quinn has just had a really good like viewer base, which is it's really surprising given he's a big channel. I've consistently had like every Winds of Winter video that I put out, so especially ones that reach a bigger audience. So the one I did last week is within a week, it's already in my top 10 videos on the channel, like view wise. And there's just people in there that are going to be very negative. They're going to be very pessimistic and all that stuff. And again, I don't mind that as long as you don't insult people and stuff like that. Like you can feel free in my comments to say, I don't think Winds of Winter is coming out. Yada, yada, yada. This is why I believe so. It's just when you go that step further. I have really always had like a certain number of people, every Winds of Winter video that say, the book's not coming out. Why are you making content on this? Stuff like that. I even address it in my Barristan video that's coming. I think it's Sunday. I'm not sure. I literally have in the first 40 seconds, I do like a just mocking like comments that'll be in there where it's like, Winds of Winter is never coming out. Why? It's just stupid videos. I address that. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's been the same. It's been the same since I've started the channel to now. I've had the same like, comments of that. Can you make a Minecraft villager noise, please, Grease? I'm not a Minecraft guy, but I'm trying to remember what they sound like. Is it like, I don't know. I haven't played Minecraft in a long I haven't played Minecraft like actually in like years. But I'll give you a or something like that. That wasn't good. Crusader Chris dropped an amazing video today on 3 different cases for Warden of the West. Who did he think? Hi Ashley, how are you? Is there any minor houses that you would want George to write more dedicated lore for? Mine would be House Penrose. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Let me think about that for a second. Let me sit on that. That's a good question. There's no house that's instantly coming to mind. Like, I think I would want more I want more nuanced into the Blackwood and Brackens, because the way George has it set up right now is it's like all Brackens are bad guys and all Blackwoods are good guys is kind of the way it feels. I would like him to maybe explore maybe some more nuanced, like with how House the Dragon did it. They made it a lot more nuanced with that conflict. I wish in the books it was a little bit more like that. So if I was going to say one house, maybe exploring House Bracken, or maybe like some good people in House Bracken. Like, I don't know. Can we tell Quinn his opinions of best characters is garbage? Oh God. Oh God. Quinn's got his opinions. That's all I'll say on that. I do like John Con, but like that man has a fascination with John Con. That is just like, you know what? I respect it. I like John Con's storyline, all of that stuff. But I will say like John Con is not even close to top character or top POV. Not close. Crusader Chris says Lana Lannister, Tyrion's daughter. I didn't know that there was a theory that Tyrion has a daughter, but okay, interesting. Oh boy, Ashley is coming at Dakota's phrase. Oh boy. George probably hated that moment in House of the Dragon where Brackens did some not so nice things more than anything else in the season. JC, we know that to be true. It has to be, because never is the Brackens like even a morally complex character. They're always the bad guys. So, hi Maz, hi Zeno, how are you? Tyrick Lannister being brought up, that's a good one, because I do think that he's still alive. I think that Varys like has him stowed away and might be using that goes into puppet theory for Varys, which I do like and subscribe. I could see that being a possibility, that Tyrick Lannister becomes the Warden of the West, if he's not a horse, of course. So, who do you think is the superior military general? Robb Stark, Tywin, Mace Tyrell, Randall Tarley, Roose Bolton, or Stannis? So, this is a video I have planned. Somebody wanted me to do this in the comments. I don't remember who it is. I'm sorry. But like how I did the Catelyn video, they wanted me to do one on Tywin, and I was having one of those days where I couldn't sleep last night, and I was kind of like going through, I was like building the script of a Tywin video in my head, and I was sitting here and I was going, I think Tywin is like overpraised in terms of like his decision making. So I'm going to say Stannis. I'll break it down, but Robb Stark, and if we're going the show, Robb Stark, much more competent military general. Robb is still a great military general in the book, of course, as well, but he's helped by people like the Blackfish. So I give Robb, like, yes, his praise, but he's not on the level of like independent people like Stannis Baratheon or Randall Tarley, because Tywin, let's be honest, Tywin has not really won like any battles. Like yes, he wins the Battle of the Blackwater, but that doesn't really have anything to do with him. Like Tyrion and Littlefinger are the reason that King's Landing doesn't fall. It has nothing to do with Tywin really. I mean, you could even say Tywin losing a battle is what allows him to then go to Blackwater. So a mixture of Edmure, Tyrion, and Littlefinger are the reasons that the Blackwater happens. Like Tyrion holding out King's Landing with his great plans, kind of delaying Stannis' forces. Also, him then sending Littlefinger to then go to negotiate with the Tyrells to bring them over to the Lannister cause. Everything kind of like folds into Tywin's hands, but not because of what Tywin did. And Tywin very easily could have lost a battle against Roose Bolton. We see that in the Battle of the Green Fork. Roose, if he was a much more like, let's say the Blackfish was commanding Roose's forces, like what Roose actually has during the war, the Lannisters very easily could have lost the Battle of the Green Fork because they were unprepared. The Stark forces, or the Northern forces, I should say, basically allowed the Lannister forces to form up. Roose didn't want to fully commit his forces to it. And so the Battle of the Green Fork, a battle that Tywin is credited with winning, really, it should have gone the other way. And it's not really a win anyway, because it's just Roose trying to keep Tywin distracted. So, again, think about all the Lannister losses against Robb. Not a great military tactician for Tywin at all. He underestimates Robb at every single turn. You then have the one big battle he's credited with, which is the Blackwater, which he didn't really have all that much to do with it in general. And then you look at like him as a father, he doesn't even understand, well, this is still contested, but he didn't seem to realize that Jaime and Cersei were sleeping together. And that leads to all this turmoil, all these issues. And then you also have him how he treats Tyrion, which is the thing that ends up getting him killed. So Tywin is like very overblown, I feel like, and I used to do this as well. I think giving too much credit to Tywin. Yes, Tywin is a great peacetime. I think he's a great peacetime ruler. But during war, he's okay. He's all right. Like he does a great job of the rebellions and taking up, making Casterly Rock what it is, all that stuff, his reputation, pre A Song of Ice and Fire, but yeah, not as great. But I would if I was going to rank them, I would go Stannis, Randall Tarley, Robb, and then maybe Tywin, Roose, Mace Tyrell. Frey tier list. Hold on. I love when it goes down. Frey tier list when? Whenever. I don't know. That's a great question. I've been kind of wondering about tier lists because I don't know how to necessarily do them. I think when I do tier lists, I won't have this streaming set up. I'll just have my webcam over there. Because I need to be at that computer to do like a tier list. So I don't know. Maybe one day. The Brackens 100% commit war crimes? Yes, but the Blackwoods should also do that as well. Like, I wish there was more nuanced with it. I think Tyrick is with Littlefinger. I have to disagree with you on that. That's fair. I mean, again, Ashley, I think as of right now, Tyrick, I don't think is dead. That's the point of it. Like, I just think that Tyrick is still alive. Or how we used to pronounce it as Tyreek. I do think to a degree the Lannisters are kind of all overpraised. I do agree. Hi, Efren. Very likely could be April. Hi, Kara. How are you? Also, Ashley, I like that logic. The blackfish swimming away in the middle of the night is so poetic to me. Yes, I agree. Tywin and peace in the same sentence is funny, but it's true. Yeah, like Tywin is much better in peace. Like he's the reason Aerys's reign is kind of reflected positively on, like the people at least. And mostly that is because of Tywin. Like Tywin is a good person to have ruling during peacetime because he's very good at preventing war from happening. But once the war happens, that's when I'm like, eh. If Robert got Cersei pregnant, do you think she would kill the kid or just love her other kids with Jaime more? Now, here's the problem. The only way Cersei would know if Robert got her pregnant would be after, like, the kid actually, like, she birthed the kid and realized, okay, it's got the Baratheon features, not the, Lannister features. So the tough part would be like I think at that point I don't think Cersei would kill her child. But I think the thing is with Cersei is it depends when you like get when she gets pregnant. Like if we're talking like after Tommen and Myrcella, like I don't know because I think she would just avoid Robert ever having the ability to get her pregnant. But if we're talking like say the first couple years of their marriage, I think she would probably just keep it. We need the bed. We need the bed unmade tier list. Well, how would that be a tier list? Are we just gonna go through images of my bed unmade and past videos or something, and we rank how like unmade it is or how made it is? Like what are we doing here? Do you think Tywin actually fought well during the War of the Nine Penny Kings, or was he slightly carried by Kevin and Tyget? Here's the thing. I think the whole War of the Nine Penny Kings is a really interesting scenario because Tywin, um, Stefan, and then also Aerys were all there kind of together. I find it unlikely that they ever were like on the front lines, or I feel like they were always probably in positions where they were quite safe and didn't actually have to do all that much, given like how powerful they're going to be in the future. You just don't see like scenarios where usually, oh, you have important people on the front lines. It just doesn't happen all that much outside of certain stuff, like in dire situations, like say the Blackfire rebellions or something like that. But here, I don't know. Like it might be a little overblown, but we just don't know. We don't know enough information about the War of the Nine Penny Kings. I'd love to get more on that. That's another time period I would love George to give more of, and that's why Barristan would be great to keep alive because he could build up the lore with Barristan. Like Barristan knew all about the War of the Nine Penny Kings. That'd be a character to be able to tell us more about what happened there. So Ashley, I know in the show that was something that happened in the show. I don't know about in the book. I always get those confused, but you guys are gonna have to clarify. Greece, you basically gave the idea. Look at your past vids and see how well it is. Okay, okay. I'm surprised no one has broken into George's home and stole his hard drives with all the typed wins chapters. That would be a crazy leak to happen. And I will say, it wouldn't surprise me if that was ever done. I really hope that's never done to George or anything like that, but it would not surprise me. Tyreek 100% plays for the NBA. No, he plays in the NFL. He's Tyreek Hill's like brother or something. Um, does George know how to use a computer? Yes, I guarantee you he knows how to use a computer, but he probably doesn't know how to use a computer well. We know he might not be the most media literate, given him posting a trailer that was not the actual Night of the Seven Kingdoms trailer. But yeah. Let me check the stream settings, or stream health is what I'm looking for. I don't know if we're having packet loss or something, but YouTube is not exactly happy. I don't know what's going on though. Ashley knows what she's talking about. He plays wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. That's correct. Ashley, are you going to be in the fantasy football league this year? That's all I got to say. Stream is breaking up for me? Yeah. I'm seeing YouTube is saying that as well. Let me go check Streamlabs, but I'll be right back. So Streamlabs is completely fine. If it's still having issues, it's on YouTube's end, not on my end, because I'm not losing any packets for the most part. But, I'm surprised no one has made a movie about it. Well, maybe they will in the future. But hit me with some more topics you guys want to talk about. What would you like to talk about? I just realized I have my camera without the card in it, but that's okay since we're using streaming. But yeah. Greece, do you have the ability to hack into a WordStar computer asking for... No, I don't know how to hack at all. Hacking, I just know. I wanted to do computer science when I was first going to school, and computer science is a lot of, the Cersei thing is like, how would Cersei know that she got pregnant by Robert or got pregnant with Jaime? Like she wouldn't know because she was having sex with both of them. So, I never played fantasy football. Should I do it this year? You should. Ashley, you should. It's fun. I think it makes watching football more entertaining, in my opinion. But it's also stressful because I take it seriously. But when I hear fantasy football, I think hobbits versus wizards. Everybody thinks what they're going to think. That's all I can say on that one. I don't know what to tell you on that. But yeah. I have a question. Since April brought up Gendry, where do you guys think Gendry is going to go in the Winds of Winter? I don't know, because you see Gendry is with the Brotherhood Without Banners. What is the trajectory of the character? Like, the show gave him much more of a role. What will Gendry's be? Because we don't need Gendry as, like, oh, he's the next Baratheon after Stannis dies. We already have Edric Storm. Edric Storm seems to be a little bit more connected to the main story. Gendry is kind of in a weird, like, position where, like, Gendry maybe kind of fulfills more of the actual Robert archetype. Like, he is more of the warrior, the fighter type. I wonder what we'll see. Like, could we see a situation where we get a repeat of Robert's Rebellion? Maybe Gendry is on Daenerys' side. Maybe the Brotherhood Without Banners goes to her. And we see maybe Gendry fighting young Griff. Nice little callback to Robert's Rebellion. He's a really hard character to predict because we don't see him that often. We've only seen him one time in like 2 books. Very difficult character to predict. Most beautiful A Song of Ice and Fire character in your opinion? If we're going the main story, it's got to be Arianne. But that's debatable because they're fictional characters that are basing them off of their descriptions and or fan art of them. So if we're going the show, there's a different answer. Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon is a different answer, but you guys already know the answer, so. Why do you think Varys killed Pycelle? I think if you're Varys, you kill Pycelle because he's another kind of Lannister crony. You just take away some of those people that could maybe help Cersei to some degree. Even though Cersei kind of casts Pycelle out, I think it makes sense from the point of view of maybe Pycelle manipulating events, being hard loyal to the Lannister faction and maybe not exactly loyal to Cersei. So I think that what you see Varys doing is taking out all of the people that would have any like opposition to Cersei besides the Tyrells, right? So it allows for Cersei to be in full power without, anybody like stopping her or whatever. And then I think another thing is this could be interesting is if when we see the young Griff reveal happening, Pycelle is somebody that was, present during that point. Would Pycelle know any information or be able to dispute Aegon's actual claim? So maybe it was like maybe multiple things go into it for Varys, like take out Pycelle because he might be against young Griff because he thought he saw the body of Aegon, and with somebody who was there that could counteract Varys or Illyrio's story or whatever. I could see that happening. Grease for all the filthy casuals like Ashley. Can you explain again why Robb instigated the Red Wedding? Well, you see, Robb Stark, he said he was going to marry a Frey girl. Okay, and that's a big vow. That's what allows Robb to get south and able to defeat Jaime and get back Riverrun and Edmure. It was a really big moment. And you see, well, Robb, he started messing around with another woman in Jane Westerling, and that broke the contract. So Robb is now not marrying a Frey. So then Robb goes back, and because he needs to get back north, because of the situation with the Greyjoys and the Ironborn, well, Lord Frey is, he's not too happy about the situation, and he might have gone a little over the top and killed a lot of people. So that's what happened. How do you think the Starks will reconnect, and where will they meet back up at? So for Bran I think is going to meet up with Jon. That'll be, I don't know if that'll be the first one, but I think that just based upon the fact that we know Bran has to get south of the wall relatively like before the wall comes down and before we see any sort of battles with the others, Bran has to get moving. Remember, Bran, we have not seen any of the character growth that he's done with Bloodraven since the halfway point of A Dance with Dragons. All of his learning is basically in the background. So what you have to expect in Winds of Winter is, yes, we still need to see a little bit of Bran learning, but we also have to get the plot moving. Bran needs to be south of the wall by the end of the book. It's kind of similar, but in reverse of like A Storm of Swords. A Storm of Swords, George wanted to get Bran north of the wall by the end of the book, and that's what he achieves. So that's what you have to do here. So it means it kind of speeds up that. So I expect to see Bran meet up with maybe Jon at like Winterfell. I then expect characters like Sansa and Arya to possibly meet up probably around like the Neck, maybe around the Trident area, maybe Moat Cailin, because I think that the others are going to assault Winterfell possibly by the end of the book. I think that could be possible. I think Stannis will have his last stand by the end of the book. It just doesn't make much sense if we're saying the others are not going to get to Winterfell by like the end of the book. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Just given the fact that you look at what we'd have to delay, because we don't have all of our factions even assembled yet. Daenerys won't even be in Westeros by the end of the book, probably. Like, she might be on her way, but she won't be there yet. So that's, I think, the issue that George runs into is how do you manage the others threat with where all these other characters are and how they're not like unified yet. So I think that we'll see them likely like meet around like the Riverlands or something like that, probably towards the end of the book, or maybe the start of A Dream of Spring. Why introduce young Griff in A Dance with Dragons only to have him killed in the Winds of Winter? He should have a bigger role. I don't think he's going to die in the Winds of Winter. Like, how do you think young Griff's going to die in the Winds of Winter? The only way young Griff dies in the Winds of Winter is if Somehow he's killed by Euron, but Euron's not close to where young Griff is at all at the moment. He's all the way across the country on the wrong coast, right? You have young Griff on the east coast of Westeros. Euron is like on the southwest. So they're not close to each other. If he was going to die to Cersei, I would say, yeah, that's a huge waste. Like somehow maybe the wildfire kills young Griff as they're taking King's Landing. Something like that. I don't think that makes any sense. I think young Griff will take the throne. I think young Griff is going to be on the throne by the end of the book. I think young Griff will pose an obstacle for Daenerys. I think that it's going to be interesting. And I think young Griff is built into the story late, likely because George wanted to play with this idea of the Blackfires. He really builds them up throughout the Dunk and Egg novellas. As the years have gone on, we've gotten more and more lore into them. Like the Blackfires had really no mention in the first two books. There is something JC brings up about a quote of maybe the idea of what young Griff was going to be was formulated in book 2, but we still don't have like a lot of into the Blackfire history. So it's a little bit of George is using, I think, young Griff to explore the Blackfires, have a conclusion to the Blackfire family, have like what he talks about a second Dance of the Dragons. So I think that young Griff has a very important role. It is something that expanded the story, though. And so if you want to look at those two books and go, okay, we introduced another plot, we introduced another character and more characters as well, you have every right to say that. Yeah, actually, it's interesting because anything we learn about Pycelle now doesn't really maybe all matter all that much. Like even the connection between Tywin and Pycelle, they're both dead. So what does it mean? Like maybe that's a character that George regrets killing, right? That is something he's talked about. There is one character he kind of regrets killing. Maybe it's Pycelle. Fair, Delroy. Gendry kind of gets put in a shitter position. I saw a question about Daemon and House of the Dragon. I'll be honest, at this point of the story, I don't know anymore because they don't really utilize fire and blood. So, I very easily could see him surviving, but I also hope he does not. But yeah, I can really see it going anyway, either way. I want them to create an actual Song of Ice and Fire Dragon and name it Bran the Broken. Boy, oh boy. I imagine Eric will be cosplaying as Walter I'm gonna be Walter White mixed with Walder Frey. That's what we're gonna do. Um, I might be able to play a decent Walder Frey. I just gotta get some hiss in there every like 2 sentences, and I'll be okay. Yeah, Jo, I do think that I think Arya is going to be out of Bravos relatively quickly, actually, and her journey is very different than, say, Daenerys's, where like Daenerys has a lot more area to cover and so many different stops that she probably is going to make. Whereas like Arya, it's kind of a straight shot. You just go from straight from Arya, or not Arya, you go straight from Bravos to the east coast of Westeros. I very easily could see Arya in Westeros by the midpoint of the book. So I think Arya, likely her Bravos arc, is kind of concluded within a couple chapters. Like I don't think that we'll see a ton of her. Like I don't expect Arya to be like a main focus of Winds of Winter. I think we're going to continue on the idea of her being more of a side character, because even when we get to the Lady Stoneheart stuff, we don't necessarily need Arya POVs. Like we have Brienne and Jaime there. Like when the Lady Stoneheart plot is going down, there's a likelihood we have 3 different POV characters all in the same place. So we don't necessarily need a lot of Arya POVs, and I don't expect her to have a ton, but I am excited for her storyline. Yeah, Ashley, I could definitely see that be like a reason as to why Varys would kill Pycelle. Also, Varys might just not like Pycelle, because of how corruptible he is and things like that. Um, Ashley is passionate about the Red Wedding. Well, aren't we all? Robb would have left the Riverlands unprotected when he takes his army north. Of course, the phrase would flip Robb's fault, honestly. Well, like, think about it from this point of view. Even though Robb gains support from the Riverlands, right? Like, in the short term, it's good. Like, Robb coming to the south, of course, you want to free up Riverrun. You want to free up Edmure, who is a relative of yours. You're going to gain more support, more men, and more armies. But in a lot of ways, the Riverlands are just a hindrance to Robb and his kingdom, like his kingdom being like the Riverlands and in the north, because you just can't protect the Riverlands. They're just geographically not easily defended. Whereas, like, for instance, the Westerlands, pretty easy to defend them for the most part. They have a lot of geographical advantages. The Vale, same idea. The Riverlands is not. You can access it from multiple different ways. It's hard to pin down an enemy. That's kind of the way I look at it. So Robb, in a lot of ways, could have easily have gone back up north, defeated the Greyjoys, and then just sat in the north. Nobody would ever be able to do anything about it, outside of people like maybe Daenerys. But, like, that's where I look at it and I'm like, Robb being tied to the Tullys in the short term was good, but in the long term was not. Any predictions for Davos and Rickon? Davos and Rickon's a weird one, because I really don't think we need to see a lot of Davos and Rickon in the story, like, especially where you have so many POVs where I think there's so much of a worry about how do they get from here to there. I think Davos, given that we cut off from the character quite early in A Dance with Dragons, I could easily see George doing something where most of the Skagos plot that people think we're going to see has already actually happened, and it's Davos, like, recounting it, and we're seeing maybe the back end of it. Like, maybe he's already, like, over this time period we haven't been with the character, he's already tracked down Rickon, and it's him recounting how he figured it all out, the triumphs, the tribulations, all that stuff. And eventually, like, maybe his first chapter is, like, he finds Rickon. The next chapter is how he's dealing with Rickon and them trying to get back to Westeros, or not Westeros, trying to get back to the mainland in the north. And then maybe we see a skip and we see him back with Stannis. Like, I don't think Davos needs a ton of chapters, especially given the other plot lines. Like, he feels like one that is just like a mini arc that then will come back into the main northern arc. I hate when YouTube does this thing. So you guys don't see this, but, like, on my end, right? I have my YouTube studio open. I have my comments and I can see the stream health and all that. And so I just go down the comments, and every time it just, like, loves to reset and go all the way to the bottom. Adam, we will probably see Skagos in a flashback chapter from when Davos was on it. Yeah, I agree. I think, Finn, that's definitely a way that we could see that it being played down or whatever. Or play. That's a way we can see it happening. The biggest mistake of the War of the Five Kings is Robb becoming king. Yes, I agree. Robb becoming king is a terrible move. It isolates allies from him. It makes it to where he made a very small issue become a big issue. Like, if Robb goes with either Stannis or Renly, like, he just goes for anyone else and he gets help from them, the war's over. It's him declaring himself a king that screws over the North. Hot take, Jon didn't die at the end of Dance with Dragons. I mean, Finn, it's heavily implied he did, but he very easily could be something where it's like, maybe he's in critical condition. Like, maybe he took a lot of stabs and he just, like, faded to black because of loss of blood and he's still alive. Like, that could be possible. I kind of doubt it, but it's possible. Your stream keeps freezing on me. I don't know what's going on. I don't see a lot of frame rate issues, like dropping packets, but I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to see it from over there. Let me check stream health just in case. I had an error like 20 minutes ago, but as of then, the stream has been healthy. So I don't know. Maybe refresh, JC. I don't know. Ashley, I'm not sure on the Black Pearl of Bravos. I'm not exactly sure as to if we even have time for it. Like I like this is the thing, right? We're only gonna be in Bravos probably through Arya's eyes, and I don't expect that we're gonna see much from it. I expect it's gonna be like Arya attempts to leave, the Faceless Men either catch her or know what's going on, give her a mission, and let her go. That's kind of the way I see things going down, but we'll see. I think that the only thing we'll maybe see Ashley would be like maybe a reference to her being like a dragon seed, like you mentioned, but oh god, is your OBS chat messing up as well? So I used to use my Streamlabs chat, but I don't use it anymore because I can't really access that on my laptop. Like I can, actually I haven't tried. I actually, I don't know if I can download Streamlabs on here, log into my account, and then see it on here. I don't know if that's actually a thing. Maybe I gotta look into it. I don't know. I usually don't have problems with chat on there. The problem with Streamlabs chat is that I can't do like all the poll stuff that I can do on here, like on YouTube Studio. So I don't know. Any theory on where Benjen Stark is, Grease? So Finn, I've talked about this a couple times. I've made a couple videos on this one, but I think likely the issue is Benjen has not communicated with anyone at this point. So the likelihood is that either one, he's captured by the others because of maybe his Stark blood. Maybe the others notice that, and maybe it's because the Starks are, maybe their blood is tied also with the others, and so that allowed Benjen to not be killed outright, but to actually be captured. So that means makes a lot of sense to me. It means Benjen is somebody that does not get lost. He doesn't send any messages back to the wall. This makes sense. That or he's dead. Those are the two likely options. Benjen being alive in his own free will does not make any sense to me. So those are the two outcomes. Either he's dead or he's captured by the others, is likely what I think. Did he mention his favorite theory, N plus A equals J? It is my favorite theory. So Voice of Old Town brings up one of the goated theories in the community. It's by far the most accurate theory, has the most evidence behind it. Because Ned and Ashara, you see, they just loved each other, okay? They danced that one time, and then there's one other source, good old Ned Dane, and that means that it works. So, yeah, Ricky, I'm glad you brought that up. It's great that we talk about some of the best theories in the community, of course. Grease skips over me every time I bring up Jojen pace. Well, Jojen is now in Bran's tummy, so not much more to be said. I mean, you've been digested into one of the least interesting characters of the first 5 books. Not much else to say. Book Val's another good shout out, Khalil. Another good shout out. John has Ashara's eyes. It is true. It is true. John does have Ashara's eyes. Because everybody talks about how John's eyes are just so like unique, and it's one of his like biggest qualities. So again, more Ned and Ashara evidence. Oh boy. Oh boy. We got some Dark Star conversations in the chat. No comment. I'm gonna stay out of this one. But yeah. Would you trade your arm for a volcano arm? I don't think so. But I don't know. Maybe if it was Melisandre and she was the one convincing me. I don't know. I might cave. I don't know. Darkstar, my sweet edgy boy. Darkstar is the edgelord. Adaptation ruined everything for me. Arya was a good character, but then they tell us a Targaryen king or queen would face the Night King when it was her who killed him. It killed prophecy and my faith. Well, the thing with Arya killing the Night King is it could have been done, but the execution was just really bad. He always speaks so fondly about Ashara off pod. He often talks about how she's literally the most important character in this entire series. Agreed. I mean, what is not to talk about Ashara? I mean, maybe she only has like 5 references in the entire story, but those 5 references are quite detailed and they're quite interesting. And also, Ashara's existence lives rent-free in Catelyn's head. So, and Cersei's head, might I add. So, of course, Ashara's on everybody's mind. I figured it out. Mance is Benjen. Could you imagine if that is the case? Mance is just like, I'm actually Benjen. Also negotiating with Jon, but Jon doesn't realize I'm Benjen. Crazy stuff. Could you imagine if Jon actually assassinated Mance, but Mance was actually Benjen? That's a what if. Oh my god, please stop going all the way down to chat, YouTube. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna have a Grease the Crow breakdown straight up on stream. I actually like the idea that they are all going to be committed by like the 3 betrayals she's going to have. I like that it could be committed by women, because Daenerys just trusts women a lot more than men, so her betrayals being from women makes a lot more sense. I personally love that idea. If we're going to go on women that are going to betray Daenerys, I very easily think Miri is going to be one of them. I think Miri has probably been like leading Daenerys on. Even the way they talk to each other, it feels like Miri is very condescending to Daenerys. I think Miri is going to be one. Another one I could see is being like Sansa, maybe. It's a little different with Sansa because Miri and also the Green Grace are more like older women that are more like mother figures to Daenerys. I could see somebody like Sansa being somebody that betrays Daenerys, just given that I think Sansa's going to be kind of like she is in the show, where she's not going to trust somebody like Daenerys, and I could see Sansa being a lot more about northern independence, not having to bend the knee to her and things like that. I could see Sansa. How do you think Robert really beat Rhaegar? He beat his breastplate in and killed him. Do you think there could have been some dishonor there? George didn't say everyone stop their fighting to watch who saw. Yeah, so I made a video on this a while ago, but there is some like conflicting like evidence about Rhaegar's actual death. Like in the art, it has it where it's like, oh, Robert and Rhaegar, are riding, and then Robert presumably hits Rhaegar and he dies. But like, if they were fighting off of horse and Rhaegar didn't die, like right off of that initial hit, like very easily Robert could have killed Rhaegar while he was down. Like maybe even like saying he yields, all that type of stuff. I definitely think so. I think that fits George's world really well. Benjen equals the hooded man. If he's the hooded man, though, why is he not communicating with, like, the wall about whatever happened north there? I don't know. Feces Jojen will be a wins POV. Oh, boy. Well, Bran is a cannibal. He also likes to go inside of people's heads and, take them hostage and all that stuff. Stannis takes the Iron Throne in the end. Gulp. Sure. How many times did Ned hit it? Oh, man, you got to know Ned was like on that trip. Let's go through everybody in your mind, go through the Order of the Green Hands map of Ned's journeys and just think every night. Every single night. That's what was happening. And they like rode off into the sunset when they got to White Harbor and they had their wedding. And yeah. No, but in reality, I would say They did it once, and that prompted Ned to marry Ashara just like Robb did with Jane Westerling. And then Ned was like, ha, I ain't taking care of this kid, and then left. That's how it happened. But then she actually got pregnant, and then she died. And then Ned was like, how am I going to explain this one to Catelyn? And then he was like, crap. That's how it happened. Exactly how it happened. Bullet point by bullet point. That's how it happened. There's only 18 likes and there's 30 viewers. See, here's the thing. You know, I know that Ricky never likes the stream. He's a hater. He's a hater. In high school, I too was betrayed by women. Well, you see, JC, we all get that. All of us men understand. The women understand as well. The women were also betrayed by women. Tell me, you know what? If you're comfortable in chat, tell me in high school, who were you betrayed by the most? Khalil, I hope everything is going well. I hope whatever, you know, is going on, that it gets fixed and it gets better. I like that idea. I like the idea of Sansa warging. I will say my one thing with, well, you know what? Sansa is maybe she's becoming a Stark again. Like, she's getting out of trying to be controlled. And part of that is getting over Littlefinger. Maybe she wargs into a bird and she finds out some more sus stuff that Littlefinger's been doing behind her back. And maybe that's what leads her to figure out the Littlefinger thing. Do you prefer Castle Black battle or show Castle Black? Okay, so I just got finished doing this series. That's a great question, James. I love them for they're both of their own things, because like I do love the idea of the battle for Castle Black is two different battles, right? Like, you have the one where it's actually the battle for Castle Black, and then the one on the wall, and that, you know, spans more days. That is more realistic. Like, you wouldn't expect all of this battling to happen in one night, like is what happens in the show. But I do think the show, given how you have to pace it, you can't really do what the book does. Like, you had to condense that all down into kind of like one episode. So I love the way the show did it. I think that they took a lot of the elements from the book and used them really well. But I also think there's some things in the show that don't make sense. Like, Jon gets arrows put in him. Same thing in the book. In the book, that has actual repercussions. Like, Jon, you know, is kind of limping around. His leg is really bothering him. All that kind of stuff. The show, it's like, nah, he's just back to being good old Jon Snow, fighting people. It's not, you know, it's not sexy for Jon to be on a crutch or whatever. So I like both of them. I do like the book version better. But I almost struggle, because I like almost the way Ygritte's death is done in the show versus the book, because the book, it does kind of feel, the book, it's more realistic. It's not as like movie-fied or TV show, you know, fied. It's okay, Ygritte died during the chapter, but you don't know when. She just, at some point, she got hit by an arrow and that caused her to die. And Jon gets there at the very last moment. So it is still like romantic. It's still kind of dramatized. That's not how real life usually works. But I do like in the show the way it's done. You know, like Ygritte and Jon see each other, and then in that moment, bam. Shitter Ollie puts one right through Ygritte's back. You know, also shooting somebody in the back, not honorable. Foreshadowing to Ollie in the future. But I like both of them. I think both of them are really well done. I think the battle for Castle Black in the show is one of the best episodes of the show. So I like both of them. I reread A Dance with Dragons and realized how similar Theon and Asha both are in their arrogant stage before getting captured. Yeah, they're kind of similar, but different in the same way. It's one of the reasons, like, I really like Theon and Asha's characters. I'm really looking forward to Asha in the next book. If George kills Asha after introducing her, like, as a POV, I'll be kind of pissed. I won't lie. I'd be like, George, what are we doing? But yeah, I could see it. I don't besmirch Ned. Asha is bae. Never thought I'd hear JC say Ashara is bae in chat, but it did happen today. Hey, Ashley, you take it however you want, but Bran does like to go inside people. He does. It's true. Without DNA, what empirical proof would prove that Jon is Rhaegar and Lyanna's son? For me, riding a dragon. I mean, someone like Howland Reed or Bran looking into the past and just saying, yeah, this is what happened. That's enough for me. But, I don't know. Well, you see, Finn, that's where you're wrong. If Jon is the child of Ned and Ashara, they'd have to hide him because he would be the legit heir over Robb. So, it's key information here. Key information. Jon then would be the true Lord Stark. It would piss off Catelyn, and God knows we don't want to piss off Catelyn. You know, the last time she got pissed off, she started hanging Freys. Okay, and some would say innocent Freys. Am I right, Dakota? So, that's where you're wrong. Somebody's going to come out of this stream actually thinking that I believe N+A, and that's going to be a tragedy. What do you think about the Faceless Men plot in Old Town? One of my most anticipated parts of Wins for sure. I love... You almost got me there. You almost got me there. That was a good one. That was a good one. See, Troll Ricky. I would like to think I've influenced Ricky to be more of a troll, but... Yeah, no. I think that we're going to be seeing well, see, this is the hard part because Sam has to witness so many different plots. Sam has to get more evidence, or not evidence, but more information on the others and finding any other lore dumps that George wants to do. And God knows George loves his lore dumps. Also, we have the Faceless Men plot, likely trying to gather information on Daenerys' dragons, how to defeat them and things of that nature. So we got Assassin's Creed mixed with Samwell the librarian, mixed with Euron, the Chad, and then also the Hightowers themselves. What have they been up to? They're one of the most powerful houses, and they've just not really appeared outside of, like, they're related to the Tyrells. So, don't know. That's an interesting point. Like, what are we going to see with the Faceless Men plot? I think Jaqen could... Here's the question. If Jaqen gets information on the dragons, how to fight them, what does he do with that information? That's it. That's the interesting part. Bran is a pervert for sure. He's a typical preteen. Got to sneak around. Oh, okay. All right. I could see Bran doing it, though. I could see it. Betrayal in high school. Other girls most... See? It's all these girls betraying people in high school. See? House Frey, they are one of the worst houses in Westeros, man. They are sneaky as hell. Oh, God. Chat's not going to be happy with that one. Betrayal, my ex-boyfriend who got another girl pregnant, and then after she miscarried, she went crazy and started stalking me. So there's a whole web of lies in this one. So you got the man that betrayed you, but then you also got... Well, you didn't really know the other woman, I'm assuming. I'm assuming you didn't know the other woman. But then she betrayed you by then stalking you. Weird twist of events. Very weird twist of events. Oh, boy. It went down. I'm boiling right now. My insides are boiling right now. What do you think of the idea of Jon having to end the two major magics in the world? The Song of Ice and Fire could be Jon ending the fire magic and Dany and her dragons, and ice magic, the old gods, and King Bran. That would be interesting if Jon had to kill Bran and Daenerys. I don't think Bran dies, though. I think that Bran is going to be kind of that twist on the story where it's like, he maybe isn't, like, fully gone. Like, still part of him is Bran, but he's also being, like, also manipulated by Blood Raven, the Children of the Forest, the old gods. Could very easily see that being the case. I very easily could see Jon killing Daenerys. I can very easily see that. I think Daenerys and her dragons will be dead by the end of the story. We don't have room for Targaryens and dragons no more. And then because if the dragons and Daenerys are still alive by the end of the story, we're just repeating the cycle. That'd be a very morbid way to end the story. Then none of this really mattered. We're just going to keep doing the cycle over and over again. Maybe that's the whole point of this. The others are always going to come. There is no defeating them. Jon's going to make some compromises, and we just go back to the way it was. And we just keep cycling. Hi, Tommy. How are you? Hope your day is going better. I read your comment at the beginning. I hope you're doing better. Battle for the Castles, or Battle for the Wall / Castle Black is definitely better in the book. Ygritte's death is better in the show, but of course, Ollie doesn't exist in the book. Yeah, agreed, Kara. That's exactly my thoughts. It was bad. She created a false MySpace page with, whoa, nude pics of obese women and spammed me. She would call me half a dozen times. Wow. Wow. Ashley, that's a YouTube video and a half if I'm at. That's all I'm saying. That's a crazy story time. I don't got stories like that, Ashley. That's crazy. Hi, Cannibal. How are you? Thank you, Tommy. It got mixed results. Some people liked it, some people did not like it, but just my stance. That's all I gotta say. George loves his dumps, all right. Okay. Oh, that's true. We also do have glass candles and Alaris. It's a lot of things going on in Old Town. A lot of things. What do you think the Tyrells will do in the Winds of Winter? I think their time of reckoning is upon us. They've gotten away unscathed for basically 5 books. That kind of. If Loras is not actually hurt that bad, then unscathed through 5 books, they're gonna get it. Marjorie is dead next book, 100%. She's dying. Okay, she's dying. There's a chance Mace Tyrell is betrayed by his bannermen. Young Griff defeats him, and Mace Tyrell loses. I think Willis will survive. Garland could easily be defeated. So I think the Tyrells, their time's coming. I actually don't think Theon taking Winterfell was stupid from a battle campaign perspective. Is trying to hold it. That was stupid. So, James, it's crazy that we've kind of brought up 2 of my video ideas for next week. I gotta write that one down because I was thinking about that one as well. I was thinking about the idea of Theon capturing Winterfell. If you think about it though, like, if you're looking at it from Theon's route of, oh, we're taking the North and we're gonna hold the North, why wasn't Theon given reinforcements? If the idea, if you are Balon Greyjoy and your thought process is we're going to take the North and hold it, if Theon takes Winterfell and tells you, I've got Winterfell, literally the capital of Winterfell, it is stocked really well, you would be able to survive a winter, you, like why would you not, you care more about Deepwood Motte than Winterfell. And I get the whole idea is like, oh, well, it's too far away from the sea, so we can't replenish it that well. Well, maybe don't be stupid and try to take the continent with the most amount of land when you are a naval power. So, in terms of Balon's actually idea of we're going to take the North, Theon is absolutely right to take Winterfell and try to hold it. He just kind of miscalculated that his father's an absolute moron. So, yeah. Let me write that one down. Taking Winterfell. Forgot about that one. Jesus Christ, Ashley. That is a lot. That's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. Eric Leslie's been skipping out on his mandatory. I can't do push-ups really. I can't really do like a lot of physical stuff anymore. Just because of back conditions and such. But just wanted to say I think your Aria videos are the best videos you've made. Well done. Thank you. I put a lot of work into those. I really enjoyed making those. I'm gonna get back into doing characters soon, but yeah, I wanted to finish up the battle series, and then we'll probably do character, and then the Battle of the Whispering Wood is probably what we'll do. I mean, I'm kind of up in the air, Tommy, on Loris. I see the pros and cons. I do think though it makes sense for him not to. Here's the thing, Tommy. I don't really care what the community thinks. I just tell my opinions. That's how it is. I know a lot of people don't like Catelyn, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Catelyn gets way too much unnecessary hate. The Ironborn, for the most part, just are not good at strategy in general. Cindy, I could definitely see that being the case. It could also just be something where it's like he holds the door of like a cave door or whatever. We all know Balon's intelligence is in the deep sea. Yes, it is true. Any thoughts on Mira in Winds? The circumstances of her and the crew's escape from the cave. I think Mira will survive. I think Mira is going to get Dark Sister. I think that is going to happen. I think that she will find it in the cave more than likely. I think then she is going to be the connecting force to Hal and Reed. I think through her, we'll then see like Hal and Reed be brought back into the story. So I think she has a pretty important role to play. Also, bye, Ashley. Thank you for stopping in. Also, hi, Violet. How are you? If HBO approached you and you could choose, what would you like to adapt from A Song of Ice and Fire? So am I in complete control of the writing of it in terms of like how they adapt things? Or am I just telling them what I would want and then they would do it? Like if I said Maegor and Aenys, would they go, okay, we're going to give that then to whoever is going to produce it, and that's just the era we're going to do? Like, very different. Because, like, my faith in adaptation from HBO is very much shaken, so I almost, like, I don't want to see them ruin something that I really enjoy. So, I don't know. My answer would probably be, like, the end of Aenys' rule, or, like, maybe a fast track through Aenys' rule into Maegor and all that. Yeah, Aemon is definitely on the list. Maester Aemon is definitely on the list. Well, welcome back to the stream. Unfortunately, it's about to end, but welcome back to the stream. I agree about the hate Catelyn gets. I don't think she deserves that. Like I think Catelyn is somebody that is definitely hateable, but she's not a character that should be getting hated as much as she does. Is the way I look at it. Egg on the fourth family drama show would be cool. I agree. James, I don't have a high opinion of Ryan Condal, so I'm not going to really talk on it. I've talked about Ryan Condal and House of the Dragon so many times. I just don't really want to get into it. But yeah, so that's going to be the stream, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Don't know what music theme we're going to do for the next stream. I did 60s this week, so we'll see. Also, Ashley's crashing out about Catelyn, so that's a good way to end the stream. But bye, guys. I will see you guys all in the next one.